your whole life watching movies, from the bad to the good to the best. Well, here comes a series from the U.S. that rivals all of the rest. From the humidity down in Alabama to the where is Wyoming, we got 50 films to show you. After that you might not feel a thing. It's the worst state of movies to make you sit down and think. And it's the worst state of movies that might even lead you to drink.
How's it going, everybody? Wildman Wes here, and welcome to another episode of Worst State of Movies. We've got 3 down, and we got quite a number of movies to go. So that being said, let's see where we go for the next state. Alright, now we're going to the southeast coast of the United States with Arkansas. So for today's movie, the best thing that I can say about this is there's an old saying that imitation can be the sincerest form of flattery. However, what happens when you take 2 different movies and you blend them together, pretty much ripping them off, and you get something that we have today with 2015's Sharkansas, Women's Prison Massacre. Yep, that's right, folks. That's exactly what I said. That's the name of the movie. Well, let's begin, shall we? So the movie starts off with some excavators deciding to do some fracking on some ground to more than likely build some things down the line for the community. What they don't realize is while they're blowing things up, they're getting a little farther down into the ground than they'd care to, and they hit an area with subterranean sharks and animals. Mutants. I feel like we're in the wrong franchises here and whatnot, but here we're committed, right, folks? While some of these mutant sharks are wreaking havoc on the community, on the outskirts of town there is a group of women's inmates from the DOC that apparently have to dig up a hole in the middle of nowhere, and while they're doing that, these mutant sharks are coming around and taking them out one by one. When they are being dispatched, the survivors have to run away and escape to an abandoned trailer where one of the inmates has a friend, girlfriend. You know what, it's 2015 at this point, so who are we to judge what people want in their lives? As the remaining survivors are figuring out what their game plan is, these sharks are running amok, and well out in the outskirts of town we also have some FBI agents that are tracking this horrific series of incidents, and they drive out to this area to help the remaining survivors. And unfortunately, more of the survivors are getting picked off. There are some scientists that do meet up with them in the interim of this, where they talk about how they have become subterranean sharks and mutants and Sharkasauruses. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, now there's 3 movies that they're kind of ripping off in this situation. At the end of it all, because I'm really tired of talking about it at this point, the sheriff of the jail, or the head of the DOC, and one of the surviving inmates make it out alive. And yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, this is a throwaway episode. I really tried with this one. I'm just gonna talk about what I like and what I don't like about this film. What I like about this film? Nothing. This movie sucked. This movie really, really sucked. The acting was... oh, man. I mean, I can understand if this was like an experimental film or a trauma film. No. This was not either one. This was... now that I think about it, I started looking over the list of people on the cast list. Let's see. Cindy Lucas, Dominique Swain, Tracy Lords, Christine Wynn. That makes sense. They're all adult performers. And now another thing about that. So the members of the cast are from the adult industry. Now, normally when members of the adult industry are in a film such as this, you would think that there might be some suggestive scenes. Well, there is one where they're taking a break from digging a hole at the beginning of the film, and they're taking a water break. And they have close-up, suggestive scenes of water being poured all over them. Now, there are some scenes where you think that you're going to see some action, but it cuts away completely. I double-checked the time stamp for this movie on Tubi, and it is, and I quote, roughly an hour and 20 minutes. So there's a good chance a half hour of this movie was cut out. And now to think about it, I wouldn't say that half hour probably would have helped the plot, but it would have made it somewhat entertaining, to a degree. But I digress from my suggestive thoughts. It's time to talk about what I don't like. As I mentioned, this acting was deplorable. The writing was god-awful. There were phrases that were repeated throughout this entire film. Tracy Lords, I would dare say her phrase, "you do that," was said more than anything that she had in the rest of her dialogue. And then, of course, there was the person that is the so-called significant other of one of the inmates. Crap on a cracker. I was expecting more foul language for a movie like Sharkansas, Women's Prison Massacre. Speaking of expecting more from something that should be considered a horror film, the violence and gore was not all there. It was mostly CGI blood. The ballistics teams of any law enforcement agency seeing the CGI effects of somebody getting hit by a stray bullet, well, they'd probably say, bullshit! Also, going into the acting, there's a lot of references that are made that just don't fit or make sense. Now, for those of you playing the home game, you're probably aware that I myself make a lot of references to a lot of pop culture, to a lot of movies and music and cartoons and yada 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 yada. And there's a good possibility most of you are looking at me like, what you talking about? I don't get it. Where does this fit in? So now I understand from your perspective why I can be odd or annoying. So on behalf of myself, after watching this travesty of a dumpster fire, I apologize. I am so sorry. Now when it comes to the concept of the ripoffs, this whole shark floating around through the water and killing people, Jaws. Now it becomes subterranean mutant sharks that are digging not just through the water, but under the ground and coming up and killing people. Tremors. And then, of course, the infamous Sharkasaurus. Well, come to think of it, with the scientists that come in near the end, they do kind of pull off some sort of quasi-Jurassic Park thing going on. So, yeah, 3 strikes and you're out. It is time to grade this film, and I've already said it, Sharkansas. Yeah, you definitely take the crown of the worst movie made in Arkansas. Well, that about wraps it up for Sharkansas, Women's Prison Massacre. If you've seen this movie before and you agree with some of the opinions I've made, leave a thumbs up. If you've seen this movie and don't agree with me, you can leave a thumbs down too. I understand. Who knows? Maybe you probably have seen the one that has the scenes that I can't talk about re-entered into the film. But anyways, make sure you share on social media, push that little red button, and ring the bell for instant updates. Until then, I'm Wildman West, and we will see you next time on our next episode of Worst State of Movies. Take care.